And today, if you want to learn, it's not that difficult. When I was a child, I started learning. You can do it. You can do it on internet. So don't ever make your children away from. I don't call this education today from the classroom. I tell this education of 21st century. You must have heard a lot of great personalities talking about 21st century education. I hate that word. I'm a mathematician. Century means 100 years. Are we talking about education for 100 years? Then we are most stupid people. I can only speak about education for the next 5 years. That means 10 years education I can speak. Correct? So I should speak about education for 10 years. 10 years means 1 decade. So which decade we are into now? Third decade of 21st century. We are in the third decade of 21st century. Every 10 years education policy should change. In your school, not the nationwide. And therefore most of my books, Life in 3-2-1 World, that's one book. Teaching Teachers 3-2-1 World, different book. Most of my books which I wrote during the COVID time, it is 3-2-1 World. Adaptive learning. How internet and computers have to be adapted in your classroom. Adaptive learning 3-2-1 World. And recently I went to Sri Lanka and I and one of the teaching faculty there together decided how adaptive learning can be in Sri Lanka. So I wrote another book, Adaptive Learn in Sri Lanka. If I have to do in Kolkata or maybe Bengal, some of you should come back and say that this is what we want. We will write a book on how adaptive learning should happen in Kolkata. That's what it should happen. Not to the whole India. India is a vast country. What happens in Kashmir cannot happen. What happens in Gujarat cannot happen in Bengal. Every one of us should become creative thinkers. Write what we want. And create books, create knowledge. Depend on all the possible social media platforms to gather knowledge, make it collective, make your children to look at the social media for more information. Give them assignments where they are busy 200%. And out of which maybe 100%, maybe social media, another 100% your creativity. Things will change. So I am not against social media. You can't. The time you restrict them, they will become more adapted to that and they will go to different websites which are not good for them. Use the best part of it. That's what is to be done. You can see 6,000 videos from Dr. TPS every day. Now today also I did one and this will get recorded today evening or tomorrow morning it will come. Every day I have lectures, everything I am recording. I am also posting it. How can you say this? And how much knowledge we have? 30 years in your life, you invest your whole time, not good enough to even to see 1/300th of the education part which is available on YouTube today. That much knowledge we have. So I think you should invest time, but direct your children to invest time in such places. That's what is most essential.
Sir, here is the question.
Yeah.
You told something where there is a contradiction, but you have to clarify it. Am I audible to you, sir?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So you told creativity. At other side, when we see kids are doing calculators, kids are using computers, kids are using chat GPTs, you have people who are very dependent on technology, which actually, to some extent, prevents them to be creative. That is already there, and the people who are creative by heredity or by their own self, they will remain creative. But what happens when we actually give in a class a solution to be done for a problem, they sometimes try to find solutions from elsewhere. And we are all suffering because when we correct assignments, 10 of the assignment source is same. And we almost find similar type of assignments. Number one. Number two, we all know that values are important than valuables. The education system still is not man-making but money-making. We all know about privatization of education. And what has happened is everybody is a manager, but ultimately they are damagers. Because everybody doesn't deserve to be managers. In lot of sense, I am telling you. Similarly, everybody has become doctors, everybody has become engineers. Now everybody in the locality, if you go out there, lot of houses are having unemployed engineers. So, privatization of education, what is your stand on it? Because NEP has told a lot of things on privatization of education, number one. And the previous question is number 0, which is talking about creativity and dependent on technology. We always say boundaryless classroom. So we engage people all over the world, but what happens is we are stifling creativity, I think. So for people who are creative, they are always creative. For general milieu, we can't make them think beyond something. They are dependent on technology. Over to you, sir.
Partly I agree and mostly I disagree. The basic reason is today teachers are of very, very low knowledge. Children are highly aspiring to have knowledge. They are not fed well. I don't know whether you know that next generation engineering subject is called prompt engineering. Do you know that? Heard of the word prompt engineering? Otherwise Google and find out. I'm sure your teachers don't know that. It is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is whatever you want, either on Google or on ChatGPT, to get an answer, you should know how to ask questions. So if you are not good in asking questions, you don't get the answer. The biggest problem with social media or www, you know what is www? Yeah, but I have a different, my mind keeps coming with a different idea. What women want in this world, right? So, what, when, why, how, all these questions should come. How do you ask and what do you ask, what frame you ask, depends on that you get answer. So it is not that children become not creative, they will become more creative. I am not away from this world, I am in this world. My last full-time lecture job was campus to corporate. How do the BTech students get job? Because he mentioned that. How do a BTech student get job in the corporate world? Campus to corporate, I was doing in a private engineering college. I was a mathematics professor and I was teaching logical reasoning, analytical skill, mathematical ability, etc. So what do I do? After every 40 minutes of class, I will give 10 questions. And 5 questions I copy from internet as it is. But 5 questions I make my own questions which are highly creative, slightly simpler than those questions. I found most of the students, they answer only the 5 from the internet. I never value them. And I will only value those I made as creative, and I tell them, if you are only copycats from internet, you will be failing in my exams. That every company knows. Every IITians who select people for studies. I was from space department, we know how to interview children. We know what is happening in the world. So we don't depend on children who are the copycats and doing this.